you guys are ruining my watch time because I had to come here and do this podcast while I was watching, so...
Hi guys, welcome to Lovecast, the Boys Love podcast. I am your host, Alexa, and with me are my fellow hosts, Pixie and Kayla.
Hey.
Hey. So today we're going through our thoughts on what I would describe as like GMMTV's Multiverse of Madness moment. We're going to be talking about our Skyy 2, and getting into all of our thoughts on the different episodes and pairings and all that jazz. But first, Pixie.
In a little over a week, we will be touching down on Thai grounds.
Wild. Truly wild.
Yay. And it's super exciting. We will be talking to actors. We'll be talking to a lot of people that we've interviewed before, go exploring, vlogging, tattooing, everything. So please, stay tuned. Go join our Patreon for exclusive stuff, and just come have fun with us. We're filming everything.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff on our social media. So if you're not following us there, make sure you go do it. Yeah, we'll definitely be posting stuff on Patreon. And also if you still want to help support funding towards the trip, we have our Ko-Fi and our PayPal and merch and all that fun stuff in the links in the description.
Donating through Ko-Fi is great because they don't take a cut of anything, so 100% of the money is going to us, and that means that we can do more stuff. Right now, we're limited to the money that we do have, which we've saved up, but the more we have, the more opportunities we'll have, so...
The more BL experiences we can try and create for ourselves without breaking our own banks.
I'm going to get into a BL boy house. If I have
we're gonna buy a BL boy house. No, we can buy the one that's on the market for $2 million.
Give us money, guys, though.
If anyone wants to give us $2 million, we will buy a BL house, and then we can move to Thailand, and then... I know Pixie wants us to move to Norway, but we could just all move to Thailand and just
bring my whole
do
family.
The podcast out of a BL house, and it'll be a great time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're excited about the trip. We've got a lot of things planned. Make sure you're staying tuned to our socials, and if you do want to still support us financially, if that's something you're able to do, if you want to, you can find all of our links in the description. But yeah, we can't wait to share the trip
helps
with you guys.
Just watching our stuff too. On YouTube and Spotify, we do get some tiny bit of extra money
revenue every couple months.
$10 per 10,000 views. So get started.
But yeah, liking, sharing, watching, commenting, all that stuff is super helpful to make the algorithm push our episodes out to more people. So. Yeah. Yes. So now that we've gotten the promo out of the way, let's get into our Skyy. So to start with the general info, so this version of our Skyy was a lot bigger than the original one. So this one focused on 8 different pairings from 8 different of GMMTV's recent in the last 2 or 3 year BLs. And each one got 2 episodes, so it was 16 episodes total. And I figure with each one we can just kind of talk about a little bit about the plot synopsis, how it tied into the original story, if it tied into the original story, production and audience reception, and obviously our own likes and dislikes about each episode. But yeah, let's just kind of jump right into it. And I put them in the order that they aired. So we're going to start with Never Let Me Go. And I feel like Kayla will have thoughts on that one because I know she's
I will
in
not,
their
because I
Pampuan era right now. So
I didn't actually watch the original show, so
yeah, we know. We know Pixie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I have a clear bias when it comes to this one, and I feel like most people are going to go into our Skyy like that. Like, if you already like the original show, you're probably going to like your faves. But this one was definitely my favorite one out of all of them, because I just felt like it suited the vibe of our Skyy so well. Because, like, if anybody, this is like such an old thing, but if anybody remembers, for example, Off Gun's story, I'm pretty sure there was some body swap element to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just is always something that's a little kooky. I don't know how else to describe it. It's something that's almost like, I don't know if the word is supernatural because it's not a ghost thing, but
far-fetched.
No, it's not ghost pixie. They're supposed to be like fan fiction AUs basically, but like brought to life almost.
Crossover stuff.
Sort of. And I feel like Never Let Me Go really like went hard on the like alternate universe aspect, like, and they really brought a fun element to it. So yeah.
I think like it was just Go ahead. It was just like really cool to see them use the time travel thing, which is like probably very overdone at this point, but I just feel like the way that they utilized it for their story, and if you like take into consideration the original, it fits so well together. Like this whole switch up of, oh my god, what's his name? Palm. The whole switch up of Palm being the lord or whatever, and then Nung Diao being his servant. It was just like very well thought out. I feel like it was very well written.
Yeah. I think I've talked about it a lot, that like I'm super excited for like be able to start getting into more historical like dramas and stuff like that. So it was so nice to have a little piece of one with Palm and Nung before the actual series start coming out in a couple months. But yeah, I really appreciated the dynamic and the way that I know P. Jojo talked on Twitter about how he was trying to make it seem like they were in like a historical Thai licorne. So he was using a lot of those tropes that you would typically see in a Thai historical licorne. Like I know people gave him some flack on Twitter for like going into the like husband-wife trope thing again. But he responded, he was like, I did that on purpose because that's a trope that you see in like the Thai historical licornes, and that's the vibe I was trying to emulate with this story. So that's why I included like those terms and these phrases that they often pop up in this type of licorne. So I thought it was really cool that he kind of like went all in on the licorne vibe and like connected it with what you would actually see in a Thai licorne. So it was really interesting the way he did the story. So yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was a good way to start off the whole franchise. Is that the word to use for it? The whole special? I don't really know what to call it, but I thought it was like a really strong start for it and kind of came out the gate with something really fun.
Yeah, I mean, I have no words.
Zero words. Zero thoughts.
Should we actually be explaining what happens in the special?
Well, I sort of got the niche of it. Like, they go back in time and do stuff as husband and wife. I don't know.
Yeah. They go back in time and do stuff. That's not wrong.
Explain the plot in 30 seconds.
It's basically like, okay, it's basically that Palm and Nung Diao find out from this fortune teller that they have been together for like 3 or 4 lifetimes now, and every single time it's ended in tragedy with like one of them dying or being separated from the other. So they have to go back in time to their first lifetime together where they met and then try to prevent them from dying again. Yeah, in the present one. But it's interesting because like everyone's roles are reversed, and there are some characters from the original that come back and play like just characters you would not expect that are very opposite of them. But yeah, that's basically it.
Heather is timing you in the chat. She said your 30 seconds are up.
I will say, it sounds very like K-drama-esque.
It does. It's a very K-drama plot. Like, we've been together for lifetimes. That's so K-drama, and I love it.
Like that, yeah. Soulmates. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For soulmates. Okay, so Star in My Mind. I feel like I watched this one, but I feel like I don't know if we're gonna really do talking about it justice because I didn't watch the original show. So I feel like I didn't get a lot of connection to it. But in terms of plot, it kind of just seemed like it was following up from where the story cut off, and they were kind of like, a year had passed and they were kind of like reminiscing on like, this is where we met a year ago and now we're back here again, but our relationship is very different type thing. There was a camping trip involved, like the typical BL camping trip that we always get. And it was very cute, but like it was really hard to connect with the characters as someone who didn't watch the original story. So I don't feel like I don't really have a lot to say with how it connected to the original. It seemed very much like just a continuation of where the series itself left off. But I just like, yeah. I will say, go ahead, Pixie. Go ahead. I was gonna say, I will say, I thought that Jung plays a very good simp. Like, I feel like Pixie would probably hate his character because he's just very much like, like hopelessly in love, like nonstop, like bringing out the cheesiness, the cuteness. But it suits Jung very well. Like, I think he plays that.
I don't have a problem with it when it suits the character or the person.
You just have a problem with it when it's Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy it doesn't suit him, okay? Listen, he needs, Bad Buddy, like, ruined it for me. I just...
You can't see him any other way now.
No. No, but Star in My Mind, when it originally aired, I felt like I couldn't watch it because it was too... Like, the only way to explain it is too childish for me. It felt... Yeah, it just felt too simple and childish. And that doesn't mean it was bad or anything. It's just like a preference thing. And I do like my stories a little more adult and dark.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So...
I will say, I think of all of the ones that I watched, this one felt more like just a pair of special episodes as opposed to like some sort of alternate universe really bringing in something to switch it up or make it like, I don't know if different's the right word, but it kind of just felt like a continuation of the story. Like, it didn't necessarily feel like this is an our Skyy episode. It kind of just felt like this is some special episodes for Star in My Mind, and it just kind of like was what it
very
was,
superficial,
if that makes sense. Yeah, it was very it was very simple. So I guess and maybe that's just like a characteristic of the whole series overall. But I do like the chemistry between Jung and Dunk. As someone who had like not watched them in Star in My Mind, it makes me a little bit more excited to see Hidden Agenda later this year. And then like I think it's gotten me on board with their chemistry a little bit more. So I think that was at least one benefit that came out of it.
I like them as a pairing and as actors in general. I just it's like the plot of Star in My Mind just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, I think that's how I feel too. But I wanted to watch it so we could at least say something about it. I feel like probably didn't do it justice, and someone who watched it can probably give a better analysis on it in the comments. So if you watched it and if you liked Star in My Mind, please let us know what you thought about the special episodes. But they were cute. They just like, they're meant to be for people who watch the show, so just like kind of watching them out of context.
It's like a fan service thing.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's all I have to say on that.
Thoughts, Kayla?
I don't think Kayla watched them either.
Didn't watch the original or our Skyy.
Yeah.
Because of the same thing, the story just didn't reel me in any way. So I have literally nothing to add.
That's fine. We can move on to the Eclipse because I know Pixie wants to talk about it.
I have stuff to say about this too.
I have stuff to say. spoiler alert, it's not all good. I'm just gonna start with that. So this is like the only one that I actually finished. Just yes, I'm behind. But I really I enjoyed in the beginning the callback to Brokeback Mountain. I think I love that they're sort of like bringing in like the Western stuff into the show, like making it more real, sort of. Mm-hmm. So that was cute and funny. I was laughing. I thought like the 2 episodes didn't have the depth of the original show. Mm-hmm. It sort of kept playing on the same plot points, or not even plot points, like the characterizations of Ak and Ayan and how their relationship is. And I sort of felt like, okay, at the end of the eclipse, they sort of resolved that. So picking it up again now kind of sort of just felt like they're dragging it out. Like,
yeah,
it didn't work, honestly. And I don't, there was no, like, I feel it felt so far from the eclipse as a show that it's just, dude, couldn't they just have given us like a happy married life kind of 2 episodes? Like the end when they're actually just like cuddling and being like domesticated, and even like the shower scene, like even that was cute. And I mean, I could have watched 2 episodes with that and been happy about it. But this like drama just bouncing back and forth, it was really annoying.
Yeah, I think that was the complaint I saw most about this one, is that the drama felt unnecessary and it felt out of character, which I guess kind of harkens, I don't know if I'm using that word in the right context, back to what you said about like they had resolved these things by the end of the eclipse, so why does it feel like we've taken steps back in terms of like their characterization? But I think, I do agree with that, and I think that seemed to be the general consensus about those episodes.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned characterization, because that was also a big issue that I had. Honestly, like, I was really, really disappointed by this one. And that pains me so much because I love the eclipse. But my thing is that I felt like they were so out of character the whole time. Like, I feel like the way that specifically I was being characterized, I feel like they took away all of his empathy that he had for like people who are oppressed. I feel like they made him kind of like this anti-woke person, and it just like made no sense to me in comparison to his attitude in the original series. And that like really bothered me. I don't know if like there was something like weird with the translations of certain scenes and things just didn't like come across the same way, but I felt like they almost assassinated his character. And I did not like it at all.
Yeah.
And then I also just didn't think the story, like you said, had really anything to do with the eclipse. And I kept joking that I should be the one who writes it for them because I really think they missed an opportunity to use the whole curse thing as a plot point.
Yeah.
And I feel like they should have made it a thing where they're still in high school and they find out that the curse is real, and then they have to go and investigate like how it actually started. And I just think that it would have made it a lot more in line with our Skyy and with the eclipse. But instead they did this like the bickering back and forth thing about non-issues, and then the whole thing with Watt and his film, which was actually like the only part I liked. Watt in his little film. But like even then there were so many scenes where I was like, they could have utilized this better. Like they didn't need to have in that scene of them recreating movie scenes or something like that. It just felt like they didn't do a lot with the time that they had. And I guess part of that is because they were very rushed to film, like literally had like 4 days, something like that to film.
Yeah.
And I think it really, really suffered.
Overarching things that I think I want to touch on at the end, because I noticed that throughout a couple of them, but I think this is the one where like the time constraints were most evident, especially knowing like having like talked to like the people behind the show and knowing how much love and like passion they put into that original story. It even felt like out of character for them to have like gone this route with like their special episode. So I think this one was really a victim of like the time constraint and what I feel was like a rushed production process.
Saying that, I sat through the 2 episodes thinking like, doesn't seem like it was something produced by them. Because it was so off, and all the like amazing shots and stuff you have in the clips and all the symbology, look, it's none of it is there. Like it's so superficial, and this shows how bad the clips could have been if they didn't take the care.
We're lucky it was just these 2 episodes that like weren't.
I mean, say what you want about the eclipse, but the care and the love that went into making that show, really like appreciate, please. I will say
that's why I was so disappointed.
I had like a moment at the end when the whole birthday thing was going, and Ak thought that Ayan had forgotten about his birthday. And, you know, I was just sitting there thinking like, that is so cruel.
I thought the same thing.
So cruel to have your boyfriend go around all day thinking you forgot their
Acting
birthday.
Like
It doesn't make up. The surprise doesn't make up for that. He was miserable the entire day. What the fuck?
I hated that too.
Yeah.
I also couldn't tell if they were still trying to push a Watt with the teacher, that type of thing.
Same.
Because every time I was like, oh, this is kind of cute, like a mentor type thing, it would linger on a little too long.
Yeah.
I was like,
there's such a weird vibe there, and I don't like, it has not sat well with me since like the show, and like they didn't go there in the show, but the way that they promoted the 2 actors is what made me feel like they were trying to have that kind of like undertone there. And I feel like the Our Skyy episodes kind of like highlighted that even more, and I don't like it.
No, the lingering stares were too much.
Yeah, I'm like, this is going over a line that I don't like, and I'm like, I agree.
Yeah. And Khan and Tua, like, do they even exist? I mean,
literally.
The way everyone was, like, so excited to see Neo and Louis together again. And I just feel like it was just like, oh, they're there, like, kind of.
Literal crumbs.
They're like props.
Yeah.
They're literal props in the episodes. Yeah, oh my god. Yeah, it was very disappointing.
It was disappointing.
I did love the last scenes where they were just like living their domesticated life. That's the only like thing that I'm just like, yeah, I got a good feeling out of that, but everything else now.
Yeah, I think it sucks because this was the first one of the, like, whole Our Skyy thing to start filming. And, like, I remember the excitement on, like, social media when we started getting pictures and they were, like, doing their first queue. And everyone was like, oh my god, it's happening. I can't wait to see, like, what kind of story this is gonna be. And, like, in the end, it was like, oof. The story wasn't storying. This is literally comes in handy. The story wasn't storying.
Also, it really annoyed me that they were all wearing new clothes. Even Ak, who is supposed to be poor, is wearing like crispy new clothes.
Pixie's gonna point this out in every drama she watches we discuss from here on out. It's gonna be Pixie's new corner. Like, does their fashion
just
pass
wait
the Pixie
until we
test?
get to A Tale of a Thousand Stars.
Oh.
Oh boy. But yeah, so that's that on the eclipse. Okay, Vice versa. This is my one. So since, just so you have like a little plot synopsis for this one, basically it takes place 5 years after the plots of the series Vice Versa, and Puen and Tale are like in that point in their life where like they've gotten really comfortable and they're like, are we making time for each other? Like, we feel like there's like, it's kind of like missing that spark, you know, where you get to that point in your relationship. And basically one day this like child shows up on their door and like starts calling them both Papa. And so like they assume that like one of the tests, or I'm forgetting the other person's name, but one of the people who they switch bodies with in the original universe like got someone pregnant while they were universe switched, and so like it's about them like having to take care of this child and like trying to figure out where he came from. And I loved it. Like, this I think was my favorite one of all of the Our Skyy episodes. It just felt like, in my opinion, like this one had some of the best like characterization compared to the original show. Like, it felt like they were very in line with where their characters ended in the original show. And it felt like a realistic place for them to be 5 years down the line. But also, like, this kid coming in and, like, claiming to be their dads, and, like, them basically having to become, like, parents overnight kind of brought that, like, out there element that makes Our Skyy, like, kind of fun. And then you're kind of like, where did this come from? Like, you know, parents, Tale and Puen. Like, it was just really fun to see. And I really thought that it was a cute story for them and kind of fitting for where their characters were at in their domestic lifestyle. I really was like hoping that they would end like adopting the kids. Like, that was like, I was like, if they don't adopt this child, I'm going to be so disappointed. But it turned out that like the kid was the son of one of their friend's sisters, and like he was supposed to be babysitting them, but like this was like their whole plan to start making Puen and Tale spend time together again. So they kind of just like sent this child to a stranger's house and was like, he sent his nephew to the stranger's house and was like, pretend to be these people's like kids. So I thought that was kind of like a weird, it was like, why would you endanger a child like this? And I feel like it kind of took away a little bit from like enjoying all of the moments of them kind of like parenting him in the previous like episode and a half. But overall, I just really like seeing them as parents, and I think this is where you talk about like your bias coming out, because I was just like seeing these two as like having to parent this kid was just like super cute, and it made me really happy to watch. And yeah, I don't know. It's just, I really enjoyed where the story went, besides like the weird way that they ended up tying the kid in the end. But overall, I just felt like it was a really fun episode for Our Skyy. So yeah, I think.
Can I say, it sounds really random.
It is really random, but it also kind of
from what
like...
I've heard, like about Vice Versa, and then them having a special episode where like there's like pseudo parents suddenly, sounds very random.
Because we didn't get to see much of them in their universe in the original Vice Versa. So like the last episode and a half was them like being back in their real universe. And JMMTV had kind of mentioned like this Our Skyy episode is going to be you getting to see Puen and Tale like living as a couple in their universe as opposed to this alternate universe. So I feel like it is very different from like where they were in the series, but it kind of fits in with them like having to be a couple in like their regular universe where they had previously like gotten together in a switched universe basically. So yeah, I think like if you had not watched Our Skyy, if you had not watched Vice Versa and had like only heard about the plot, I think it does sound kind of random. But when you actually watch it, I think it's very fitting for where their relationship was at, like in that point in the story. So, but yeah, I can get that. It was fun.
Was it just their story, or did they tie in any of the other people?
No, this one wasn't. Literally, Bad Buddy and A Tale of a Thousand Stars were the only two that did any sort of like connection, which we'll get into that because I know you have confusion around that, Pixie. But I know there was a rumor when people started thinking that there was going to be crossovers. People thought that Vice Versa and My School President were going to cross over, because one of the sets they used in the My School President one was a set that they had used in the original Vice Versa series. And so like a lot of people thought that they were somehow going to cross them over, but like it wasn't. It was just them. Yeah. And even like there wasn't really a lot of the... It was for the best, because I was like, how would you combine My School President and vice versa? But yeah, it was really just like Towen and Pele. Like even the side characters in the show weren't super prevalent in their Our Skyy episodes, but it was a fun one. So yeah. That's all I have to say about that. Getting into the My School President one, I liked it. I thought that it was going to be my favorite. Like, I just coming off of, like, how attached I was to My School President, and maybe it's because, like, the show, it hasn't been that long since the show ended, so I'm still, like, really attached to the original characters. But this one, they kind of did, like... They basically retold the story from the beginning if Tin and Gun's characters had switched. So, like, if Gun was, like, the uptight school president type with the crush and Tin was the music club leader, which I thought was fun. I think I will... But I kind of wanted to see something new from them. So, like, just, like, seeing the original scene switched with, like, their character switch was, like... I still enjoyed it a lot, but, like, I feel like I would have prefer to see something new from them, if that makes sense. Like seeing their characters doing something completely different as like the original universe Tin and Gun. But there were a lot of Easter eggs that I really did like about it. Like the fact that Tu and Por were actually dating in this version. I thought that was a really good way to show that they were listening to the fans, because one of the biggest fan theories throughout My School President was that Tu and Por were secretly dating. So the fact that they had them secretly dating in the Our Skyy episodes was a cool little tidbit that I think they worked in for the fans. But it was fun to see them kind of like switch and like act as how they thought like each other's characters would act, both with like Gemini and Fourth and the rest of the cast as well. So I did have fun with it. I was just kind of like, it's not what I wanted to see from their Our Skyy episode, but I ended up having more fun with it than I thought I would.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way about it. Like, I don't know what other approach they could have taken, but I really thought it was funny seeing everyone switched. And just, like, seeing everyone's imitations of each other was so funny. I feel like if I went back and watched it again, I would notice even more things. Like, Tu and Por being switched was so funny. Yeah. The moms being switched was so funny. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the guy's name. Never mind, I can't remember his name. Basically, I'm so bad with names today.
Yeah. Sound and Wind switching. Do they switch with each other?
Yeah. It, like, that aspect of it was so funny. Just seeing this alternative universe. Even, like, Chinzilla not being a thing and it being lion.
Yeah, it was like a lion
instead.
But they were trying to push more merch.
Basically.
Oh, I have a whole point about that actually, but maybe I should save that.
We can talk about it at the end.
Culminating thoughts.
But yeah, I feel the same way. Like, it would have been nice to see a different story with them, but I didn't necessarily mind the one that they told, and I thought it was pretty funny. Like, the humor was spot on, as was in the original.
Really funny. I love the song. Like, I'm glad that they all release songs for all of the episodes, but, like, of course, My School President having had, like, so much music being such a big part of the original, I love Gemini's song that he released for this one. Love, 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 I think it was called. Yeah. It was a really good song. And that felt, like, very My School President, like, just, like, such a good song that they released with it. But yeah, it was super funny to watch. I did love seeing them kind of like act as each other when they were switched. And I love what you pointed out, Kayla, about how even though Por was like technically switched with Tu, like he was, I think this was you that pointed out, that he was still like the best dressed person in the entire show. That even if he switches his character completely, that part will never change about him. He will always be a fashion icon.
Yeah, and it would have been kind of funny to see two dressed like almost in an exaggerated way of poor.
Yeah.
I think they should have did that.
That
That would have been funny.
But yeah, it was good overall, but I wanted more from them. And I think that was just like coming so soon after my school president. Like I wanted to see something different from it. I did like the little like tinge of like the university scene that they gave us at the end, but my brain was like, oh, I wanted to see that with like the original Tin and Gun, like give me like original Tin and Gun university era kind of thing. But overall it was fun. I enjoyed it. It made me laugh a lot, so that was definitely a plus with it. But yeah. What came next? A Boss and a Babe with Force Book. Kayla, you really liked this one, right?
I did really like this one. I think this one was another that felt like it was just 2 more episodes tacked on to the original series.
Literally like the week after the series ended.
Yeah, literally.
Came out.
There was no break in between. And even though it didn't have like that fantasy element to it, I really liked how the thought process of Cher wanting to switch places and become the boss to teach Gun a lesson about how he treats others. I thought that was really funny. And they are just like, I mean, the perfect pair to pull something like that off.
Oh my god. Yeah, Cher trying to act as the boss was too funny.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else happened in that. Oh my god, my mind is really blanking today.
I did not watch these ones, so that's my admittance, is that I did not watch the ones yet, so
oh, there's another thing about it. I was like this special really solidified for me that Gun's character is so autism coded, because there were a ton of moments where the employees would say things like, oh yeah, when Gun gets like this, he can't have the lights too bright and he can't have the screen too bright and he can't like deal with the sound of someone like coughing or like this noise of them playing with the pen. And I was like, oh, this is so autistic. This representation.
That man is neurodivergent.
Yeah. That's another big thing that I was like, this just connects so well with the original series, because I felt like that throughout the original as well. That he was like very neurodivergent. I guess that they both were in different ways. But yeah, I liked that it felt very consistent throughout, their characters did. Unlike the Eclipse.
It's like autism BF and ADHD BF. Like that is their dynamic.
That's exactly what it is. Oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. But yeah, it was just fun. Like it was another one where nothing was super serious. I guess the only thing that I kind of wish was brought up again was time.
Yeah.
Because
that's
like what happened to him? Yeah, what happened to him? I guess it would have taken down the mood to bring him in, but I'm still very curious about some of the plot holes that A Boss and a Babe left off on. And I guess because these special episodes connected so much with the originals, I expected maybe some level of them being filled in, but there wasn't. It was just all fun and gags, which is fine. Totally fits the series.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It was fun. Yeah, I have to go back and watch that one. But yeah. Let's dive into Bad Buddy and A Tale of a Thousand Stars. I feel like you kind of have to talk about them together because they were so interconnected. What I will
you tell
say,
me that now? Tell me before I start the show.
We definitely have to give like a summary of this one because it spans over 4 episodes.
Yeah. So essentially, it starts off with Pat and Pran, and they're in that time period, like in the final episode, like those 3 years where they were pretending to have broken up, but they were secretly dating. And their faculties are fighting to put on a play. And the play that Pran wants to put on is a story that he found online, and it's basically the story of Tien and Pupa's like love story. And so their advisor is like, well, if you're going to put the story on, you have to go get the author's permission, because I don't want you to get in any type of trouble down the line. So that's how
that's
Pran...
why he was there.
Yeah, that's how Pran ends up in the village, is that he is there to get permission to use the story that Tien wrote to turn it into a play. And Pran ends up following him there because they were kind of fighting over something, but like they were trying to like... Pran was trying to prove that he could do it without Pat, and Pat was kind of going along to be like, actually, you need me type thing. And that's how they ended up in the village, and then it turns into the two A Tale of a Thousand Stars episodes, which is the ones that you tried to watch. But yeah, so it was kind of like the first Bad Buddy one was very much just Pat and Pran up until like the last couple minutes when Pran ends up in the village. And then the two middle ones were supposed to be like the complete crossover episodes. And then the final episode was supposed to be mainly A Tale of a Thousand Stars focus, although I feel like Pat and Pran were still in that one a lot, obviously because Tien and Pupa were like in Bangkok and watching the play and stuff like that. But yeah, I will say I was surprised that and Nanon's chemistry was still chemistrying as much as it was. Like, with all the speculation about them not being close anymore in real life, and like the way that they were promoting for the series and how like not happy they looked throughout like the entire promotion process.
They're good
They
actors.
slipped back into Pat and Pran so easily, and they are good actors. And so that kind of goes into the theory of like why you could get into a lot of things about the way that they've been acting with each other in real life. But yeah, I guess like I kind of I shouldn't have expected because they're actors, but I just didn't know what to expect from seeing them get back into the roles, because there's been so much speculation with them, like with what's been going on with them in real life. But like it really took me right back to like how attached I was to Pat and Pran when I was watching Bad Buddy, and I like was not expecting that. Like I watched the first episode and I was like, I'm like really emotional. I forgot how emotionally invested I was in Pat Pran when I watched Bad Buddy.
Maybe it was something that happened while filming that make them have that thing going now.
I don't know. There's so much speculation about like they're acting like weird in real life on purpose because they want the ship to end, and like there's so much speculation around what's going on around it, and that like I guess it's on me for letting that influence like how I thought that they would be acting on the screen. But it was like a pleasant surprise to see like how well they got back into the characters of Pat and Pran, and I like the way that they ended up tying in the crossover. Like I thought that was ended up being a really cool idea, and I kind of like how it all came together. Yeah.
From my one part watch of A Tale of a Thousand Stars, I will say this: I was genuinely surprised how happy I was watching Earth and Meg's back. I was like, I felt like I'm coming home. I'm just like, I love these. They're fighting, but I love them. I miss them so much.
Yeah.
Me too.
It was really good to see them again. I think it hits harder because both Bad Buddy and then even A Tale of a Thousand Stars is even older than Bad Buddy. So they were like the two oldest shows that were adapted in our Skyy. So like we've been away from their characters the longest, so seeing them back on screen again, I feel like just hit harder for both of them. But yeah, like when like Pran showed up in the village and like Chief Pupa was there, I was like,
so random.
Back to it all.
Oh my god,
dude, coming into that with no context was so random.
You were like, that's so funny.
Yeah, that's
just
confusing.
Trying to watch the A Tale of a Thousand Stars. Yeah, if I had known that like you were planning to watch them, I would have been like, make sure you watch Bad Buddy too.
I didn't know myself that I was planning to do it, so. Oh god.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I loved the conclusion of Tien and Pupa's story. Like that was probably the most gratifying.
I cried.
Oh my god, it was so beautiful. I'm still like especially because these episodes just aired. Pixie, did you watch the second episode, or did you just watch the first one?
I just watched part
confused?
1 of the first one.
Well,
I haven't got, it. You guys are ruining my watch time because I had to come here and do this podcast while I was watching, so...
I don't want to spoil it for you, but I'll just say it was like
spoilers, honestly.
I don't know, it's just like very emotionally gratifying to see, like, I mean, they got engaged is like where it basically ended with them.
I figured.
And I feel like
I've seen spoilers on Twitter.
Okay,
already.
so yeah, it was just like such a good culmination for their characters and their story, and the whole scene was just like so beautifully done. I was like, this is like they chose to end not only like the whole Tale of a Thousand Stars and the story of Tien and Pupa, but I feel like it was the perfect ending for like all of the Our Skyy episodes too, because it was just like such a gratifying end for the characters and for the whole production. Yeah. But yeah,
it really got me when they started showing the clips of them from the original series with that flute music behind it. I did not expect to get so... It really had me worked up. I was like, this is crazy seeing them again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really weird though seeing bad buddy characters overlap with A Tale of a Thousand Stars.
So unexpected. Like,
it was so weird. Like, I remember when I saw that this was a crossover, I was like, how could they do this to Tale of a Thousand Stars? But actually, like, other than Never Let Me Go, I feel like this was maybe like my second favorite one. Because again, like the way they executed it was so good. And I definitely have the bias of loving Tien and Pupa, which, you know, that helps. But I do think that it actually made sense the way that they connected the stories.
It did. Like, I was so surprised. I was like, how are they going to make this work? But it made sense. And I honestly really liked the way that they ended up connecting them. And I love the fact that, like, Tiana and Pupa and Pat and Pran just like exist in the same universe.
Yeah. Right.
I will say, watching like the first part, it didn't feel unnatural for Pran to be there, and like just the chemistry of the whole cast kind of, it felt surprisingly natural.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really interesting to see them all kind of like intermix and act together.
But I did have like the TikTok meme at Ariana Grande thing going when I saw
Pran. No, I loved Pran and Tien kind of becoming besties. Like their personalities really mesh well.
They do.
I do have 2 critiques though. The Milk Love erasure is too much.
That's what I was going
to say. And the Long Tae erasure is too much. Where is Long Tae?
Oh.
Yeah.
Where is he?
No. I was so sad that, especially with Ink and Pa, we only got like those 2, like there's the hot pot scene and then them being at the play, which like, obviously they weren't going to go up to the mountain with Pat and Pram, but I was like, we deserve more.
They could have.
They could have. They could have found a way to make it work. But yeah, I saw a lot of talk about like where Long Tae was throughout the whole thing. And also, like what Heather mentioned in the chat, with Drake having been in both of those shows, I feel like they missed like such a funny opportunity with like Wrong is his character from A Thousand Stars, and I forget what his character's name is in Bad Buddy. He's Wirecorn. I can't remember which one he is. But like they really missed an opportunity there with the fact that Drake was in both of those. I feel like they could have done something funny with like Wrong being like his twin that lives on the mountain or something. But yeah, no, I was pleasantly surprised with how well they managed to execute the crossover, and how much I enjoyed watching the crossover happen. But yeah, it was
my one issue. The clothes. No, but it's not realistic. The clothes are new and clean. They're living in like this village up in the mountains. Like, that's not realistic at all. Like, they should be sweaty.
You know what I thought was,
and just like, what?
Yeah, that and the fact that Pran was wearing like a full outfit the whole time when they were like hiking and stuff. Like, why was he hiking in a corduroy jacket?
Yeah. And there's not a single drop of sweat. Like, it just takes me out.
Pretty people don't sweat. Out. Don't you know that, Pixie? That face.
It annoys me so much. You have no idea.
Oh, I love it. Occupational hazard. You can't just enjoy things. But yeah, no. I agree with that though. Like, they do not look like they lived on the mountain or like they were hiking up the mountain, or anything like that. But gotta make sure your actors stay looking pretty. So I guess that trumps out over outfit accuracy. Yeah. But no, I think I really liked how this all ended up in the end. And I think that A Tale of Thousand Stars, like, I think this one is probably my second favorite. Very closely coming after like the vice versa episodes, because it was just like a lot better than I thought it would be. And I really, really loved how Tien and Pupa's story ended. Like, that was just like chef's kiss, god tier cinema. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So overall, I think my biggest issue with Our Skyy is that the whole production felt very rushed.
Yeah.
Like, from the time that it was announced, which was in GMMTV, the press thing last year.
Yeah, the showcase thing. Yeah.
I don't know. I just felt like it came out of nowhere, which I guess it did start filming like a couple months ago, which, like, we were a quarter of the way into the year at that point. So I guess that makes sense. But I feel like the production process was so fast. Like, it was like, oh, we're starting this, and then all of a sudden the eclipse was filming, and the eclipse was done filming, and then something else was filming, but this was done filming. And like, it just felt like every aspect, it just felt like it went too fast. I was like, I feel like they didn't take as much time as they could have to like make the stories fitting for some of them, more fitting for some of them. And like, I know a lot of these actors have other projects and stuff that they're tied to, but
the promo material they filmed for the showcase was better than most of the episodes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just don't, it felt like for such a big project like that was like their big announcement from the press con last year. And like, for such a big project, I felt like they did not put as much effort into the production as I would have expected. Some of them are really good. Like, some of them were like top tier, like really exceeded my expectations. But then like with others, I was like, where was the effort? Where was the time? And I'm sure it depended on like the actor schedule, the production schedule. They were all being directed by the directors who did their individual series. So I'm sure that factored in. But overall, it just felt like it all happened too fast. And I feel like the whole production suffered because of it.
Yeah. I had high expectations since this was like the second time they were doing Our Skyy, and I was just like, okay, they've learned, they're gonna do it properly this time, and it's gonna be awesome. And it felt like such a money grab. And especially, like, I noticed in the Eclipse episodes that the product placement was so in your face that I'm just like, oh yeah, that's a commercial, thank you. Like, they weren't even trying to hide it. Like, they were zooming in on those creams after they used them. I'm just like, okay. What?
Yeah,
honestly,
no,
I think
that was a big thing. That was
with
a big
the Eclipse. Like, the original Eclipse did not have like super severe product placement.
No, it didn't.
And so I think that made it even more blaring when there was so much in the Our Skyy episodes. But thinking about something like Vice Versa, which like one of the jokes was how many fucking products they advertised in that show. The fact that there was only like maybe 2 advertisements throughout their Skyy episodes was like, I was like, this is a relief for a vice versa enjoyer. Like, they advertised so many fucking products in the original show. But yeah, there definitely was like this feeling of like, especially with like, I know Kayla, you said you had thoughts about like the merch and stuff too. Just like, I think that also factored into it a lot too.
Yeah, I saw that the hats for the eclipse that I'm guessing is gonna be sold. Honestly, bad quality hats. The embroidery on the hat looks really bad. I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Why do we need hats? Why do we need it?
I think they literally couldn't think of another product to make to get people to buy. Like, there was one episode of the My School President one where literally I was laughing my ass off because it was like part 1, merch, part 2, merch plug, part 3, merch plug. And I was like, this is literally just a long advertisement for merch.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it felt,
it was a lot. Like, a lot of merch.
Someone pointed out with the Bad Buddy and A Tale of a Thousand Stars one that, like, you could tell that they really, like, they felt like they had to put out merch for all of them, but, like, for some of them, they just could not think of things, because, like, for Bad Buddy, they had, like, the mask, the Nong Now, like, eye mask, and then for A Tale of a Thousand Stars, they just had, like, a fucking t-shirt, and they advertised them in, like, the same, like, little picture, and someone was like, they clearly could not think of anything else to make out of merch for A Tale of a Thousand Stars, and so it just, like...
Have you noticed how much, like, GMMTV is just, they keep on increasing the push of merch? Like, the merch drops now, it wasn't as bad last year. Or the year before that. And do they have the same thing with, like, their Lacorns?
Some of them, but mostly no.
I don't know.
No. Largely no. Like, I think some of, like, the really popular ones have gotten, like, a product here and there, but it's definitely mainly with the BL, because...
it makes it feel so cheap.
Yeah.
It's like they're using BL just to, like, get money. It's just their focus is so on the merch.
Yeah, and I always wonder what portion of the money that's earned actually goes to the actors, because they're using their likeness, but maybe GMMTV is taking, like, all that money, which that part of it, I'm like...
GMMTV practically owns these boys. I'm guessing they're not like getting anything. It's probably part of their contract that they have to. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't like the trend, and I think fans should be more careful about how much they spend on that stuff.
Yeah, but every time they drop something new, this site is like breaks because of how many people are trying to buy the stuff. So yeah, I guess whatever GMMTV is trying to do is working. But yeah, I mean, some of it was cute. Like, some of it made sense, but I feel like they felt like they had to have something for everything. And so, like, some of the stuff, like, it seemed much more obviously like a cash grab compared to, like, some of the others. I mean,
we've already had merch for these shows. There's literally no need for more. That's why I'm just like, okay, do, like, a small launch for each show you have, but these are old shows. You could relaunch the merch you had at the beginning. Like, don't make new stuff. Like, it's such a waste.
Oh, yeah, it is a waste. They should do something that is, like, a collector's item, like an acrylic pin or, like, an enamel pin, something like that you could collect. I feel like would
and
be
more
less,
like, limited
overconsumption.
Limited. What do you call it? Limited
release.
Edition. So they don't sell as much and, like, produce too much stuff that people are never gonna use.
Yeah. I
mean, we can think a little bit about, like, how all this spending affects the environment, especially when it comes to clothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have an agenda. No?
Pixie's using the podcast for her environmental clothing conscious agenda. Which, listen, I support it. But yeah, overall, I think it was fun. And like if you go into it not taking our Skyy so seriously, like I think overall I enjoyed most of the episodes that I watched, with like a few that like fell flat, obviously, like the Eclipse one. I think that was generally fell flat for a lot of people. But yeah, I think Our Skyy is not something that's meant to be taken seriously. Like, it's a very much a fan servicey product. They're doing these like very outlandish plots because it's just meant to be like fun and goofy and out there. And I think they overall succeeded with that goal pretty well. But yeah, it just felt like it was a little bit like it was too rushed for my taste, which is like, and I felt that when I was watching a lot of them. And I feel like, you know, this could have been better if they had taken a little bit more time with the story, but people have other projects to film. I know we've got like Only Friends, Last Twilight, and all of these shows have like started going into production in the last couple of weeks. So I'm sure that probably factored into how much time they had for Our Skyy. But yeah, so I thought it was so fun overall, and like I'm glad that they did it. I thought the original Our Skyy had some really funny episodes in it too. Like I think it's worth
it just for the comeback of A Tale of a Thousand Stars.
That alone,
exactly.
That alone makes it worth it.
But yeah, it was fun. I had fun with it. And I guess it's kind of like for a lot of those characters, like this is their way of saying goodbye to them. Which like it was it kind of sucks because like for something like a Boston Babe, their Our Skyy episode aired like right after their show. So it's like show is over, Our Skyy's over, goodbye, Sharon Gunn. But then like with like Tien and Pupa, it felt so much more fulfilling because like we've had those characters for like over all of these years now. So their goodbye felt like very, very gratifying in that sense. But yeah, it's like the way to say goodbye to the characters, I think, which is a nice thing to do for the people who are attached to the series and to the characters. So I thought it was fun overall. A good little project. I just wish they put a little bit more time into it.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Any other final thoughts before we wrap it up? Yes. No. Pixie, you're going to have to go watch the Bad Buddy X A Tale of Thousand Stars. And it's all 4-episode glory, so you can appreciate it further.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well, at least it's 2 shows that I've actually watched before, so
yeah,
it should be fine. Despite my feelings about Bad Buddy, I did actually finish the show, so.
It's a win for Pixie. Okay, then that is it for our episode this week. Which of the Our Skyy 2 episodes were your favorite of the bunch? Let us know like what your favorite concepts were, which ones really hit for you, which ones didn't. We want to discuss with you guys, so leave us a comment down below or hit us up over on our socials, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're always interacting and replying to you guys over there. And don't forget, you can still support our Thailand trip. And that's another reason to follow our socials, because we're going to start posting a whole bunch, like all of our Thailand trip. Well, not all of it, but we'll be posting a lot about our Thailand trip on social media. So you're going to want to be following us. And if you still want to support the trip, you can find a couple different links to do so down in the description. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the episode. Share it with your friends who you also watched Our Skyy with. We want to know what you guys thought. And sharing the episodes really helps us out with the algorithm. But that is all for this week. Thank you for joining us. Until next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
I watched 2 parts of the A Tale of a Thousand Stars, Our Skyy.
Oh,
and I'm super confused why Pran is there.
Oh, well, because it was a...
Oh, did you? You've got to start the 4.
We'll have to
yeah,
discuss
you've got to
it.
start. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have to discuss it in the episode.
Yeah.
4 episodes.